Welcome back to Whiteboard Wednesday. My name is Mike Cromwell.
I'm Brian DeVault.
And today we're going to talk about our next episode in security posture. So we're talking about the elements of a good cybersecurity posture. And we've talked so far about the first four. Now we're getting into cloud on-prem. So in order of magnitude, Brian, where does this one rank in terms of order of importance?
It's very high, especially as more of our applications move towards the cloud. And it's a good segue to kind of talk about the first item on the list, which is architecture. And so when you're architecting a cloud-based application, or say you're moving to IaaS, infrastructure as a service, especially when you're using a public cloud service provider, it can be very tricky to get the right security in place up front. The way that cloud providers deal with networking is completely different than the way traditional networking works. And so we want to make sure that when we're implementing those cloud-based strategies, we have qualified infrastructure architects that are helping us create those secure environments. So architecture is a huge one, right? MFA, we've mentioned that a couple different times, but multi-factor authentication in place for every cloud app that you use. All of them offer it. If you're using something that doesn't offer multi-factor authentication, then tell them to go at it.
Why is having a password or password manager no longer effective?
Because of things like phishing attempts, because of malware, because of keystroke recording, because of, there's just so many different threat vectors out there. And MFA is particularly important in the cloud environment because I can access these apps from anywhere, right? So most of the time it's foreign countries that we see, are attempting to hack into SaaS providers or cloud-based assets. And so it's not like you call the local FBI and get them to go track down the script kiddie that's sitting in his basement of his mom's house trying to attack your systems. These are highly intelligent people with advanced mechanisms for breaking passwords. Zero trust access. So consider the zero trust environment where essentially you don't trust anything unless you've authenticated it using some type of a multi-factor authentication.
When we talk about multi-factor authentication,
okay,
what does that look like? If you got it.
So in its simplest
practice,
in its simplest form, there's several different third-party service providers that allow integration with all of your business apps that allow you to do multi-factor. But in some cases, it's an application that loads on your smartphone. And so when you go to log into the app, you put in your username and your password and you hit login, and then it sends a code to your phone through a push notification, and then you enter the code. Usually it's 6 digits, sometimes longer. You enter that code in, and then it authenticates you against that verification source. So it's literally third-party verification, right?
This is a great best practice. So if a lot of times you get pushed to accept two-factor authentication, you should always do that.
Always in every case. I guess maybe the best example or the most recognizable example of that now is face recognition on your iPhone. Because that is two-factor authentication. The first factor is your password that the app is saving, but the next factor is your facial scan, which masks have put a challenge on that. And then you want to make sure you secure and harden that environment and do that on a regular basis. One of the things that people don't understand is that when you're in a public cloud environment, that public cloud service provider can be making changes to their network pretty consistently, upgrades, changes, ways that they transmit traffic, and those can create security holes for yourself. So that's where you've got to assess. You've got to be regularly assessing, doing vulnerability scanning against those environments, doing port scanning, making sure that those environments stay secure through the process of change. This is something that any mature IT department is going to know. Any mature MSP is also going to be experienced with this. But anytime you execute change management, you always have to go back and assess. Reporting against those environments, right? So you've got to see the data, understand it. To me, if I don't get a report back from a vulnerability assessment that says all clear, then that vulnerability assessment didn't happen, right? I've got to have a point-in-time snapshot that says your environment is safe as of this date, right? And then integrate. Use things like Active Directory to integrate with your cloud applications so that you can get single sign-on, use your native MFA that's built into Active Directory, use your domain security that's integrated as well. And then when you talk about application security, this could be an episode on its own, right? But what we're really talking about is your data, right? So wherever your data is, on-prem or cloud, have a security-minded approach towards how you store your data, where you store your data, the ways that you allow your data to transmit, whether that's HTTPS or FTP or FTPS or whatever it may be, make sure it's secure. Make sure it's encrypted.